Are you ready, though, for real?
I am ready.
We've been doing a couple of dry runs here, mostly for me. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go to One Set of Lights, pull a Yui, park in front of the music store with the red neon light. Like and subscribe, tell your friends, have your own podcast right here in our beautiful studio. Come join me, anybody out there. And we're here today. Glad to have him here, Tony Dioguardi.
That's correct.
I got it right.
You said it like an Italian.
Amen. Well, my mom's Italian.
Okay.
I'm halfway there. Tony D, as we know him, guitar player at large. Been around for a while. I don't want that to sound wrong. But.
Well, I have been around for a while. There's a word for that. It's called I'm old.
Well, hey, man. We're lucky to get old at this point. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
It's the alternative.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Cool.
It's a privilege.
Yeah. So I know you as a guitar player. We'll get into whatever else you are, but we're going to talk about music and guitar playing, right?
We can talk about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've known you, I guess maybe just from the kind of PVAR orbit. Would you say?
That's I would say, yeah.
And then we played a bunch with Brant Taylor out there.
Yes, that was a fun summer.
Yeah. I remember that. So playing guitar, and then you're also just trying to think of like what people would know you now. You're involved in Cafe 9. You're doing the things that've been going on for a while.
I've been fortunate to have a residency there, hosting the Jazz Jam for about 13, 14 years now.
Whoa!
Every third Saturday at Cafe 9.
Beautiful.
It's in the afternoon, which is kind of a nice situation.
Yeah.
The band plays for about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
People come up and sit in. Band plays a little more.
Sure.
People at different levels. It's jazz.
Yep.
So there has to be really a baseline of musical
competency.
ability and competency,
like,
as opposed to some of the blues jams and general open mics.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a privilege.
That's cool.
It's great, and I've been doing that for a very long time, and I have some great musicians coming in, playing with me. We've had some. Had Bernard Purdy on drums one month. Yeah.
I had him here.
I know. Oh, we saw each other when he was.
That's right.
Interviewed at Telefunken.
That's right.
Bernard's a dear friend.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I only met him that one time. It was awesome. It was
best storyteller I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. No, he's the best at a few things for sure. Who else is in that combo you got going on down there?
Well, it varies every month. I've been breaking it up.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not a steady band. I've had a John Rispoli.
Oh, nice. I got to get him in here.
John's great.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I have to get John in here.
Tell him.
Lately, I've been using a drummer who became a friend, who's an amazing jazz drummer, a guy named Dan Pugach.
I don't know.
Oh, Dan's wonderful. Dan is part of the group of musicians that about 4 years ago transplanted from Brooklyn and Manhattan and came up to Connecticut. Dan used to have Dan is a drummer, and he's also an arranger.
Oh, cool.
And he has had a nonette that he writes and arranges for.
Oh, wow.
And he just has a new big band album called Bianca, which is phenomenal.
Wow. And he's
phenomenal.
And he's a drummer?
He's a drummer. They just had their album opening last week, sold out, Birdland.
Oh, hey.
5 minutes standing ovation.
Hey.
Unbelievable. All New York.
Doing things.
Horn players. Hard, challenging stuff. I'm watching these guys in amazement.
9-piece.
I mean, it's almost like Matheny meets Weather Report at its best and most intricate.
Yeah.
And with a horn band.
What's he doing here? Who knows?
He's
composing.
Yeah, they live in Dan and his wife Nicole, and he also plays in her band. Nicole's a wonderful singer.
Okay.
Has her own band that she plays with, and recorded a phenomenal album called How Love Begins.
Cool.
That was nominated for a Grammy.
Hey, now. So
for Best Jazz Vocal Performance.
These are real people.
And then she won the Grammy for
Whoa.
Best Jazz Vocal Performance.
Whoa.
And I think Esperanza Spalding, Patty Austin.
Yeah.
Some others were just unbelievable, wonderful musicians.
Wow.
There are so many great musicians that have come up.
Yeah. Sure.
In my neighborhood alone.
Really?
Within a few miles, within a few blocks. You know Bill Carbone?
Oh yeah.
Bill used to live down in Brooklyn.
Oh really?
Yeah, Bill and Amy and the family moved up to North Guilford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Another guy who you definitely want on here, and we became fast friends. A guy named Knox Chandler. Do you know Knox? You might have heard his name kicking around.
Yeah. Knox
toured with Cyndi Lauper.
Drummer?
Guitar player.
Oh, okay.
For years. Just played with, I think, the Violent Femmes.
He's around?
Yeah, he's around.
All right, we'll get him.
Yeah, he's cool. Fantastic.
Great. That's cool. So, I mean, Cafe 9, that people are passing through.
Yeah.
Right?
People passing through.
Yeah.
Great horn players come by.
So the word's out by now.
Keyboard players. Yeah, I mean, I've really kind of changed what I've done. In the beginning, it was more sort of funk jazz, the kind of thing you play with Jeff Pivar.
Sure.
Which is sort of harmonically informed funk and with maybe a little bit of rock overtones, but with jazzy type influence.
Yeah.
And then I was playing with a great keyboard player, but he became less available, and so I kind of changed my shift to more of a jazz standards type thing. So now I've been doing jazz standard trio stuff.
Hey,
with
that's
acoustic
cool.
bass players, and it's
nice. Great. So it's like a little bit more, I guess, traditional or whatever, less fusiony and more
less fusiony. Yeah, but it depends on what I like to do. Is and I learned how to kind of not run the band, but just organize. I was very, very lucky to be taken under George Baker's wing for many years. Remember George Baker?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
My favorite. One of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
And favorite people.
And I can hear him right now. Oh. John Peckman. I can hear him saying my name right now.
Yeah, I hear George every day.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is just see who's available.
Yep.
The best possible musicians I can, and then play to their strengths.
Amen. That's
I
what
mean,
a band leader does.
If I get someone who's got a great pocket, I'll play that kind of music. If someone who's sort of more modern jazz, we'll do that kind of thing.
Sure.
See what happens, and it's very loose, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's in the afternoon.
It's a great scene. I mean, the place is packed.
Yeah, I should show up
most of the time, and it's great because people can come there from 4 to 7.
Right.
And then maybe they'll stay from 4 to 6 or 4, whatever.
Yep.
And they'll go out to dinner, and there's 100 restaurants.
Gotcha.
Within walking distance.
So it's a good scenario.
It's really one of the gems. Cafe 9 is really one of the gems in
New
Haven. Yeah. Jesse and Patty took over the place from Paul Mayer about a year ago, and they've done a phenomenal job.
Cool. Yeah, I always liked it.
Yeah.
That was the spot for a long time.
I keep trying to get you there.
Oh, really?
I keep trying to get you there. One Saturday afternoon, John. It will be your
time. All right.
Time.
Well, you know what? I will. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it. I don't know. I'm not a great jazz player, but
you're one of my favorite drummers on the planet. Are you kidding?
Okay. Well,
we'll do what
you should see other planets.
We'll do what you want to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a thought. Yeah. Far out. So how did it all start for you musically, like way back?
Musically?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in 1957.
Okay.
Which meant in 1964 I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And like most people my age, we all have the same story.
Yeah, yeah.
Beatles, Ed Sullivan, yada, yada, yada. Sure. But I mean, my path was a little different in music. I always loved it. But I had other type interests and realized, I think, early on that I might not have had the massive amount of talent that I saw a lot of people around me had. Oh. And so, even though it always remained a passion early on, I made the decision it would always be a passion, but not necessarily my livelihood.
Wow. Yeah. Good.
So, listen, it's better to figure that out early.
Well, yeah, kind of.
When you're in high school and there's 5 guitar players in your grade that can play circles around you, you say, well, you know what? I don't know if I need to go up against these guys for the rest of my life.
I guess, whatever. It all depends on what you get your enjoyment from. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be the best, like if your enjoyment comes from like vanquishing everybody, then that's one thing. But I mean, if you love music and you want to do it.
Well, I always did music, and I always want to do music, and yeah, I mean, if that's your passion. For me, my other passion was that I really really enjoyed science and really wanted to go into healthcare.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I always loved music, and I always felt that you don't really need to do just one thing
Sure.
in life. You know,
Sure.
you can be I'm this or I'm that. Well, you can be both this and that.
Why not?
And so that was my idea, and I chose healthcare because it's not the kind of thing you can really do on the weekends.
Well, was it in the family, healthcare?
No,
Oh, really?
no. My
You were
father
the
was an
one-
engineer. My mother was in business.
Wow.
And worked at Publishers Clearinghouse, running a department of marketing intelligence.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Whatever. So why? What inspired that you said, I want to be in healthcare?
I just liked. I had some great role models.
Mhm.
You know, as I was growing up, you know, doctors I knew and
Mhm.
people like that. It just seemed like a really good idea,
Yeah.
something that would really resonate for me to be able to help people on that level.
Right.
And then I had an ability in science courses, and
that's how it
just I went into college. I always played in bands
Yep.
all through college. I mean, played in one of those jazz rocks bands in Buffalo, New York. And there were us and this other band
Mm-hmm.
that played, and every now and then, and you know, if their bass player was out, I would sub for them.
Wow.
And then they made a record, and they got popular, and they're called Spyro Gyra.
Hey.
Hey.
Whoa.
Boom.
Hey now.
Yeah, I ran into Jay Beckenstein about 15, 20 years ago.
Wow. That's
And,
funny.
Yeah. He goes,
Yeah.
where are you playing? I said, right down the block in the dental office on York Street.
Wow. That's kind of cool. Wow. Back in
Yeah.
the day.
I mean, they were playing
yeah, yeah.
little bars like Cafe 9. We were all playing like little bars like Cafe 9 or
Yeah, right.
Buff State. And
How did they, I don't know enough about them. How did they get their break? They just,
they were part of the Buffalo Jazz Ensemble. Jay Beckenstein, I think Jeremy Wall, and Tom Schumann
yep.
were all part of this sort of Buffalo Jazz Ensemble, and they kind of broke. And they were playing bars, and there was three guys plugging into a twin reverb. That was the PA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they wrote it. They came up with an album. And from what I can tell, before that, what was really big, and we all did the same kind of tunes. You know, we did Chick, Korea,
Sure.
Return to Forever stuff, and we did. You know, we all played Birdland.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. It's fusion.
and all
time.
that stuff. But they came in something a little more user friendly for the non-musician.
Sure.
And even though fusion was like popular music back then, from what I can tell, they kind of invented smooth jazz.
Yeah, right.
You
Yeah,
know, it was
sure.
them and Chuck Mangione.
Sure. Yeah.
But he was a solo, and they did it more of on a band level.
Yeah, right.
And they had that big hit.
Yep. Feel So Good.
Yeah, Feel So Good. Okay.
And then you kind of had George Benson was making noise kind of around that same time, right?
Benson's amazing.
Yeah, of course.
He's
Yeah.
always been amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
But George Benson was always more of his own
Right, right.
thing. I mean, he was known as and in my mind, he's like the greatest living guitar player
Sure,
right now.
sure.
But
Sure.
right around then, we came up with the album with Warner's where he started singing,
Right.
and
Can you
everybody says,
imagine?
yeah. And then all of a sudden, he's got a voice. He sings like Stevie Wonder. It's like, oh, it's just
So
not
crazy.
fair.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so there must have been a market. It wasn't unheard of to have instrumental smooth. I guess, like you say, I guess they invented smooth jazz hits or whatever.
Well,
that was
like that kind of like not too challenging rhythmically. I mean, Chick
Right.
Corea was playing Spain and Senior
Right,
Mouse and all this
right,
hard stuff, and
right.
Weather Report was,
Sure.
on another planet with Wayne Shorter and Jocko and
Yeah,
Zawinul.
Yeah.
And then, but Spyro Gyra was something that the average person could listen to and not
Sure.
be confused,
Right.
and it just made them, and they connected. I mean, they, any music that resonates with people, and they resonated huge.
Do we know what it means? What does Spyro Gyra mean? Do we know?
Spyro
You were
Gyra is
there. You must know.
actually, it's actually named after a little, I don't know what it's technically called. I think it's a type of one-celled plant or something like that.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, and you can see it's a little
just
spirally thing inside.
like the
when you
name
look
of
under
it.
a microscope, it's got a little green spiral in it.
And they were
So
like,
they named it after that.
that's cool.
Yeah. Being a biology major, I knew that.
Yeah, right, right. Was there a biology major in that band?
In Spyro Gyra, I think they were all full-time players.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they're still
Who knows where
they're still
right.
at it.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I ran into who's the drummer? Used to play with them.
Joel Rosenblatt?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
sure.
He was playing at Jeff gig. He goes, I said, "You play with Spyro Gyra?" Yeah. I said, I was playing with Spyro Gyra with
Yeah,
you when you were still in 5th grade.
Yeah, that's
Young
funny.
man.
Yeah. So there you were.
Yeah.
You just missed it. You could have been in Spyro Gyra. You could have been in a...
I subbed in Spyro
You could
Gyra.
have been in a band named after something
until they
biological.
find the guy that could really play. I mean, Spyro Gyra did have some changes along the way once they started getting better.
Well, but there you are.
Like it's like a band like Yes. It's like, oh, there's somebody better. Let's take them instead.
Yeah, right. That's fine.
Yeah, so I would have had a flourishing career until 1974.
Right. That's all right. It's all been downhill since then anyway. So, yeah. So there you are. And then, so in Buffalo doing undergrad or?
Undergrad. Great music scene.
Yeah?
Great. You been to Buffalo?
If I do, I don't remember.
The nicest people.
Yeah.
Phenomenal music scene because the weather is so horrible.
Sure.
That's where they get their enjoyment. And they don't care if it's cold. Over here, last week I had a gig. Sure. I had a gig. It was raining. It's like, well, it's raining. Maybe, maybe we want to cancel. It's like, okay. Because over here, people don't go out in the rain. In Buffalo.
Yeah, they don't care. I
think it didn't, for one winter, it didn't go above 0 for like a month and a half.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. But people don't care.
They
would just
life.
bundle up and they go out, and we had all these steady. There's a place called the Central Park Grill.
Okay.
And we played every Tuesday there, and we had all these other gigs. I was playing like 1, 2, 3 nights a week. I was a bassist back then.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't a guitar player.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you about how that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. So you're playing bass.
I was playing bass.
Wow.
Yeah,
That was the beginning. That's how it started.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I played guitar, and I was never really serious about it. And then, like I said, there were 5 better guitar players, and then I said, hey, if I play the bass,
right,
it's a lot easier to get a gig.
Yeah, sure.
And so I got into a band. I played bass, but I overplayed. Looking back on it, I listen to the tapes, I cringe.
Oh wow!
Because I was overplaying.
Yeah, but everybody did.
Yeah, but we did like Weather Report and Chick Corea tunes, and some funk and.
So you're figuring, I can,
And so it was always fun, and that was in college, and then I went to dental school. Mm-hmm. And I was a big Jocko fan back then too. So I had a fretless bass.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, I have it hanging in my office right now.
Oh, nice.
But I got to dental school, and dental school I went to UConn.
Okay.
And that was all encompassing. I didn't have time to do much at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
So where did you grow up? Here?
I grew up in Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Port Washington.
So then you're in UConn. You're in Connecticut for like the first time.
And that's and I'm having. I had a good long-term memory, but my memory, my brain was never wired to memorize a lot of things short-term. So I did well in school.
Sure.
I did very, very well, but it meant that I would have to do things like lock myself in a closet for 10 hours at a time with an anatomy book. Like, I will not leave this until I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty, dental school, which actually at UConn, the first 2 years, you're combined with the medical students.
Okay.
So dental school is like memorizing a page of the phone book every day.
Wow. And that's just where it starts. That's just
where it starts. And that's the first 2 years. And then the second 2 years, they learn the dental part.
Wow.
So I had no time to play.
Huh.
And then at the end of the first 2 years, then we go into the second 2 years. In the second 2 years, they teach you how to work on teeth.
Wow.
So that loosened up a little bit.
Wow.
So that's when I switched guitar. It was I remember it was in the summer. I think it was 1981.
Wow.
And there was this Courtyard concert, and some local band was playing, and it was just fantastic. And this guitar player, this guy is playing this ES-335, and it was just the perfect union of tone and touch, and it just sounded unbelievable. I remember they were playing Birdland. I look at this like, you know what? I got to play guitar.
Really?
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I went out and sold my bass.
Who was that band?
That was a band called Street Temperature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who was on guitar? Pivar?
That was Jeff Pivar.
Yeah. That's what I kind of figured.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
he was
fully formed.
Yeah,
I can say this because I saw him, back when he was a kid. He sounded great.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who sound, okay, and then maybe get a little bit over here. Jeff, and guys like Jeff and Ron Lawrence and these other amazing players were great out of the box. That's why I was in dental school. Guys like that.
Because there's guys like that.
Because there's guys like that.
Wow, you know.
Yeah, and so then I remember it's just like wherever they would play, I would look at the Village Voice, and I would like go into the city if like I saw this guy was playing, and and about like 15 years later, through a mutual acquaintance, I met him, and then we became friends.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
So that's where that all started.
Wow. So he sent you to guitar. Like he
didn't know it.
You were like, all right.
Yeah, well, it was like that moment in the Blues Brothers movie.
I
where
see
they're in
the
church.
light. Yeah, I see the light.
It's like I must play guitar.
Yeah,
and so I went out and bought a Les Paul and started practicing,
Wow.
and then ended up in dental school. Ended up in one of these bands that was actually great. It never made it out of the basement. It was an Earth, Wind and Fire cover band.
Oh wow.
With the full four-piece horn section.
Wow.
And that was on guitar. I had so much fun doing that.
Wow. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. That does sound like fun.
And then when I got out, I kind of played bass a little bit and did my first gig in New Haven, like around '87 on bass. And
gotcha.
Started going to jam sessions.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of wild. Pivar. All right. So it must have been with some maturity, because you're saying like when you were younger, you would be intimidated by guitar players better than you.
Oh.
But you saw Pivar and you were like, okay, that it was more inspiring.
Well, no, I was, I've always been inspired by people that better than me.
Right.
But I hopefully would think I had the self-awareness to understand my place in the pecking order.
Wow.
In the stratus of music, knowing that yes, I could if I were to make a living as a guitar player,
sure.
If I wanted to commit to that as my livelihood, I would peak here.
Talk about locking yourself in a closet.
I would peak here.
Sure.
But I thought I had more of a passion and more potential if I went into healthcare.
Yeah, but that's beautiful though, because you do.
But
both.
I never left. Fortunately, I never left the music. And
right.
I know a lot of those great players ended up doing something else and they gave it up.
Yeah.
How many people do you know that just were great and then all of a sudden just, I don't really play anymore? It's like,
yeah, I know a few.
Yeah.
It does happen. I don't know. Although, whatever. I was going to say, I guess it depends on, although, I don't know. It's a toss-up. I mean, I think you get to a point where at least, you can make a living playing music until you want to get serious about your life and go, well, I don't have kids, but that's when it gets real, sure. And then you have to figure out what else you're going to do. Or you just stay a perpetual man-child like me or whatever and go, okay, I'm kind of doing this.
Yeah, but you were one of those guys on the top. I mean, you've been...
Yeah, I guess so, but not opportunity-wise so much, but that's okay. I found out what I wanted to,
If I thought I had that, I might have made different decisions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I always, I love watching people like that. I'm in awe of great musicians. I'm in awe of you when you play. I saw you the other night.
Yeah.
Everybody on that stage was wonderful.
Do you think... it doesn't matter because it all worked out. I mean, what I think's cool is that it's not like you didn't settle in any way.
I love what I do.
You know what I mean? So,
I love what I do.
So you win no matter what, which is great.
Oh, I wouldn't want to do something. Life is way too short if you don't love what you're doing.
Of course.
And in all honesty, I can say I love my work. In my dental office, which isn't really like a traditional dental office.
Sure.
But I love that as much as I love music.
Yeah, that's great.
And if somebody goes, well, when are you going to retire? I mean, when you're 66, you get that a lot. In my field, and it's like, if I had to give up dentistry, I think I'd be just as sad.
Wow.
As if I had to give up music.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I wonder how in that biz, just to speculate, because you're saying like it was your idea to go into healthcare. You wonder how many people, I guess, in the health field or even in dentistry, that it's in the family. You know what I mean? And they do something sight unseen without really thinking about, but you chose it.
I was lucky.
Yeah.
I was very, very, very lucky. Number one, you don't know if you're going to like healthcare until you're already in it.
Wow.
It's not like you get to try it out.
Right.
You know, it's not like
So
they give you a drill.
school is not
Dental school is I think it's become a more user friendly experience now.
Yeah, yeah.
But back then, it was just outright abuse.
Do people drop? What do you mean?
It was just outright abuse.
People drop out. You probably
the first
not,
day.
Well,
Well,
like,
okay,
get
I'll tell you the
far.
story. So in Yukon, and Yukon was difficult, very difficult because they were.
Is it a renown? Is Yukon renowned? I don't know.
They were trying to be. So it was a new school,
Okay.
and they had new administration. And the new administration, they're all European, and with that strong European, techno,
right,
brief attitude.
Yeah.
And they said, "Listen, you are yes, very much, and you are a physician of the oral cavity." Now they combined us in the dental school with the students from the medical school. Now to get into medical school, you needed to have like 4 A's for every B. And to get in the dental school, you needed to have like, or if you were from in-state, there were a few of us that are out of state, but in-state you needed to have like, maybe 2 A's and 5 B's, and that was fine. So and they were just as smart, but they were just a different kind of smart.
Okay.
And so they lumped us all together, and there were 80 medical students and 40 dental students, and they said, well, here's the deal. If you don't score within, I think it was 1 point, if you score below 1.5 deviations below the mean, you fail the class.
So you have to keep up with the medical students, is what you're saying.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. And so out of our class of 40, I think maybe a third had to repeat the year.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Are you glad that it went that way for you, or?
Am I glad that I didn't have to repeat the year?
Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
You see,
No,
when you go to jail, okay, when you go to jail.
Which I've been. No.
No.
I actually, very briefly, but
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
When you go to jail, okay, they don't make you work really hard for 15 hours a day. Okay, you get to sit in the cell, I imagine, and they serve you a meal, and you get to sit there for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
In dental school, it's just 15 hours a day. For me anyway. Most of my friends had much better memories than me, and so they would go out. Like I would take a test, I would spend 3 hours taking the test. They'd be out in an hour. Already partying, and by the time I got on the test, they were like already sober.
Yeah.
So it was very, very hard for me the first 2 years. I did very, very well, but because I was determined not to let it beat me. But it was very, very hard.
What I'm saying, so because they combined the medical with dental, you had it rough. Do you feel that benefited you in the long run?
Sure. For me, it did.
Right.
So, I mean, because the quality of what they are expecting.
There wasn't fun to go through, but
it's just like it's like doing anything.
Yeah, right.
You rise to the occasion.
Sure.
Or you don't. I mean, Jeff was talking the other night. You want to surround yourself with the best. I always like the Pat Metheny analogy, where somebody said, "Hey, Pat, how did you get so good?" And he says, "That's real easy. Always be the worst one in the band."
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So and it was challenging. I mean, it gave, at the end of the day, as much as I complained about it, I think it gave a deeper understanding that on the medical aspects of what I'm doing. And my practice is a little unique in that there's a lot of medicine involved as opposed to most dentists. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, because I don't know what that means.
But so it was worthwhile for me.
Cool.
It was no fun, but I draw on it.
Did it change after that? After you went through it? I think
it got a lot. I don't think they were as brutal about it.
Okay.
I think they were more like, if you fail a test, you get another chance. Whereas we were, if you failed a test, put it this way, there was one guy who missed a test because his mother was dying, and he went to go visit his mother, and then they kicked him out of school for that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was an abusive situation.
That's what you mean by abuse.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, hey folks, at least dentists are real, or for real, like you say. If you went through that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And listen, I'm not complaining. I made it through.
Yeah,
I made it through fine, and I was never in danger.
Sure.
Of being thrown out, but I worked very, very hard.
Yeah.
And the second 2 years were a lot more user friendly. That was learning the craft of dentistry.
Yeah, sure. So what do you? We have to talk about music, but
We do.
But I'm interested. Well, yeah.
I know more about the other stuff than music.
So what do you mean when you said that your practice has more medicine or is more medically involved? What does that mean?
What happened is I'm a general dentist.
Okay, as opposed to
Cosmetic
or
cosmetic is sort of a you can call yourself a cosmetic dentist, but you're really a general dentist, and we're all cosmetic.
Okay.
Because if you do something on a front tooth, it has to look good.
Sure.
Now there are those that specialize in or limit their practice to making everybody look like Ivanka Trump with the veneers and all that stuff. I don't get into a lot of that.
Yeah.
And at this point, well, about 13 years ago, I started. I took a weekend course in something called dental sleep medicine. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Have you ever heard of something called sleep apnea?
Yes.
Sleep apnea.
We talked about this once.
Did we?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Sleep apnea is a condition that maybe about 10, 15% of the population have, in that when you're sleeping, you stop breathing.
Right.
And that has all kinds of
strain on your heart.
Bad strain. It has medical and subjective implications, meaning you can feel horribly tired.
Sure.
Your snoring can annoy your bed partner.
Yep.
In the more severe cases, it can cause heart attack, stroke, diabetes, cancer. It can be bad for you, as bad for you as smoking 2 packs of cigarettes.
Whoa.
And it's fairly easy to treat.
Yeah.
And the common treatment for sleep apnea is something called CPAP, which stands for continuous positive air pressure.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a mask you wear on your face as your airway collapses.
Right.
And our airways collapse because you have to think of it almost like as a flexible tube from here to here.
Sure.
That's being held open by muscles during the day.
Sure.
But when you fall asleep, all your muscles relax and they slowly close.
Gotcha.
And then when your airway closes, you try to breathe in. Now it's like sucking through a collapsed flexible straw. You can't do it.
Yeah, sure.
So your chest is going up and down.
Gotcha.
And your oxygen's going down. And sooner or later, the receptors in your body,
we're dying.
Bells and whistles are going off saying, hey, we need to do something. What does your body do? Your body basically arouses you to a lower stage of sleep, because when you're in sleep, you go through different progressive stages and you cycle through those stages about 5 times. So it takes you to the lower stage of sleep where your airway opens up.
Why do some people's why? We don't know.
So why? Well, it has to do with some of it has to do with anatomy.
Okay.
It actually has to do with evolution. So when we evolved to gain speech as human beings, we also got a vulnerability. And we're the only mammals with what's called a movable hyoid bone. A hyoid bone is almost like an arch bone.
Oh, wow.
That's right around here.
Yeah.
And the hyoid moves so we can speak. But that hyoid is normally fixed in most mammals. And that fixed arch is supporting the airway so it doesn't collapse.
So
some bulldogs have that.
Like you say, a vulnerability.
We have a vulnerability.
Flexibility somewhere where we...
Now, different things can make it worse if you have if you're overweight or you have a large neck, or you're of certain ethnicities that are more prone to it.
Okay.
And just different factors can give you sleep apnea. So
probably in a million years we'll evolve. We'll be fine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the thing to look out for is if you snore loudly.
Yeah.
If you ever wake up gasping for breath.
Yeah.
If you're very tired during the day.
Sure.
It's a very simple test. All you have to do is go to your physician, just ask for a sleep test.
Yeah.
And they hook you up to a little machine.
Wow.
While you sleep, and
I did one once.
Did you?
Yeah. I was okay.
Good.
I thought I was. It's a long story.
Okay.
I thought
So anyway,
suspected.
My practice is devoted towards sleep medicine. So I don't use CPAPs, but not everybody can wear one of those on their face.
Yeah.
So about 13 years ago, I was very fortunate enough to have been taken under the wing of Yale Hospital Department of Sleep Medicine.
Wow.
Leaders of the field. My mentor is a fellow named Mayor Krieger, who basically invented the field of sleep medicine, wrote the only textbook in it.
Wow.
So before that, I had gone to a weekend course like many other dentists and realized, this is easy. And then did a few cases, realized way over my head.
Oh.
So they found me, and then they brought me in, and then I lectured to them after I went through about 4 months of self-study. And now I teach in the fellowship program.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, and I see a lot of patients, and that's where I learned sleep medicine.
Wow.
So my practice is half sleep medicine, half dentistry.
Wow. And what is sleep medicine? Define it.
Sleep medicine is the medicine treating people with sleep disorders. So I treat people with a very specific sleep disorder called obstructive sleep apnea when their airway closes.
Okay.
So what I do as a dentist is I make a small appliance. It looks like an orthodontic appliance, like mouth guards, 2 mouth guards that are sometimes connected. And what it does, have you ever taken a CPR class?
No.
In CPR, when you see an unconscious patient, the first thing you need to do is open their airway.
Gotcha.
And to open their airway, you put your hands behind their jaw.
I see.
And you push it forward. And it's called a chin lift.
Okay.
And then that opens the airway.
Gotcha.
What I do is I make an appliance that holds your jaw forward just enough to open the airway.
Whoa.
And they sleep with that all night.
Yep.
And it's very, very simple to use. You have to know what you're doing.
Sure.
In that you have to be able to know how to make the appliance, how to construct it, how to adjust it. It's like you know, I could walk into and buy like the most expensive set of drums, but I can't play them.
Right.
So it's a tool. So basically it's a tool for me to, over a period of 3 months, guide them to a point generally and gradually where their jaw is put into a position where their airway stays open. And I work very closely with the sleep physicians, and then they double check with another counselor if that works.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's fun.
Do you ever not need the appliance?
I have a mild sleep apnea. I have a mild sleep apnea.
Just saying, myself. I wonder if your body learns in sleep.
No, it's not. Okay, it's not there. The only ways your sleep apnea will get better is if you lose weight, or you find a way to get younger.
Oh, okay. Well.
So it gets worse with age, and it gets worse.
So in other words, both of those are impossible. No. Wow.
So yeah, so I saw like 4 or 5 sleep patients today alone.
Wow.
And you know, when I see them on follow up, it's like, wow, I feel so much better.
Hey, are you? And you must be one of the only people. Are you? This is like cutting edge, right?
Well, any dentist can do it, but I'm of the belief that certain things should not be dabbled in. I don't do any surgery.
Wow.
I don't do root canals.
Yeah.
I don't do gum surgery. I don't do extractions because I feel that that's best done by people who do a lot of it.
Sure.
So this is what I do a lot of.
How did you forgot if you might have said this earlier. Why sleep apnea? Why did that catch your attention and you decided?
Because I was snoring and I took a weekend course like every other dopey dentist.
I got you. And you
were
like,
this isn't difficult. I can do it either. Yeah. And then after I saw a few cases, I realized after I spoke with someone who knew what they were doing, it's like, I'm in way over my head. So I stopped completely. I bought a textbook, which ironically was written by the person who ended up being my mentor. He wasn't at Yale at the time. Yeah, and then just the textbook's about this thick.
And you just thought I could be.
Buried myself in it for like 3. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah.
3-4 hours a day, and then they were looking for someone to work with their fellows. And word got around. And
hey, that's cool. So it's a whole other patient.
It's maybe 5% dentistry, 95% medicine.
Wow. So, and you never would have imagined that.
I've seen about 3,000 patients so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long you been doing that?
About 13, 14 years now.
Wow. So your practice just like shifted.
Well, I gave up the things. I was doing a little bit of surgery here and there. I'd stopped doing that altogether.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, the general dentistry part, I've been doing it for,
yeah,
well over 35 years.
Yeah.
So,
but you never could have imagined back in the beginning that this would even.
It's a door that opens.
So you're just following your.
My life has been very, very lucky in that certain doors have opened for me
because of your interest, because you're interested.
Well, it's not just in that, in musically.
Yeah.
I've been unbelievably lucky with the people that have taken me under their wing.
Hey.
It started with this guy named, remember Bobby Buster?
Yeah.
Bobby Buster was
that was the jazz
classic,
jam, right?
Well, he was organ, great organ.
Yeah.
Great organ player.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah.
And his brother, Eddie Buster, Chicago. He's got Eddie Buster with Gene Ammons and Sonny Stitt.
Mm. Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. And they took me under their wing early on.
Right.
When I started off going to these little jam sessions.
Yeah.
Not knowing. And I knew to switch to guitar because one of the first jam sessions I went to, Ron Lawrence was playing it.
Yeah, right.
You knew Ron, no?
Of course.
Ron was
another one I can hear immediately.
Yeah, I mean
a
genius, a genius, and a sweetheart of a guy.
I was lucky. I played with him the summer before he passed. I did a bunch of gigs with him, and it was great. And I'm so glad.
Ron, but if you remember Ron, the one thing about Ron is Ron was radically honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
at all times. And I remember I was playing bass because at that point I still had the bass. I had the guitar. I was kind of going between the two of them intermittently. Neither one of them well at all. And so I was Ron was hosting an open jam, and I'm playing bass, and it was something simple behind on.
Sure.
I'm just off in my own thing, and he just turns around, he looks at me, and goes, "What the are you doing?"
Yeah, what are you doing?
I said, "You know what? You're right. What
Yeah.
am I doing?" That's why I stopped playing bass.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
stopped playing guitar.
No, he's not. He was not. Well, I don't mean in your case, but yeah, Ron.
Ron did not suffer incompetence without letting you know.
No, I know. Yeah,
You know,
we all,
and if you were playing with Ron, obviously, you're,
it was
the
always
fact that you're there.
nerve-wracking. Yeah, totally nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So Eddie Buster and Bobby Buster took me under their wing, and then after that, I played a bunch with a guy named Wayne Boyd. Do you remember him?
No.
He did a bunch of stuff with, I think, Jimmy McGriff.
Okay.
Organ trio stuff.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
Sure.
And then I met this other guy at a jam session. He goes, "Oh man, you should come over, man. You want to play together?" I said, "You want to play with me?" He goes, "Yeah, George Baker."
Yeah, right.
And he became one of my best friends of my life.
Yeah.
He was just a sweet, and I played with him for years and years. And
Yeah.
you just when you're around people like that,
The best of the best.
you
And then
absorb.
P-Var.
And then and Jeff and I became friends, and Jeff was gracious enough to let me on stage. And one day, when I was on stage with him, somebody was, I think you were there too, and said there was a guy, had a young singer he was producing. And this beautiful young singer, and she was like 22.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, you play with Jeff?" I said, "Oh, yeah." Now, meanwhile,
Yeah,
I'm up there sitting in because I'm his friend. I have no illusion that I belonged on it. Listen, on that level, that's a different strata, and that's fine. But anyway, through whatever, friendship or whatever we developed, Jeff was kind enough to let me sit on stage. Now, there's a concept called coolness by association. So when you're on stage with Jeff, they go, "Oh,
right,
he belongs." So
you're one of the cats.
So
now.
the guy came to me. He goes, "Well, do you want to play a song with this singer?" And I saw her and I said, "Wow, she's so pretty. She couldn't possibly be that good." And I said, "Well, who else is playing?" He goes, "Well, Jeff's doing one." I said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah. Exactly.
So and then he goes, "Well, you can use a bass player." I said, "I get Dave Lavosi."
Sure.
And the singer was Ricky Miller, who is now a dear friend, and we've done many. Sure. We've been playing together for 12 years.
I was there. I remember. Yep.
And so through playing with Jeff, I that door opened. Then Ricky and I did a whole loop duet thing for many years.
Yeah.
And we just played on Sunday.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yep. It happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of
when opportunity knocks. I mean, the best thing you can do is open the door.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you. I know. I don't remember how it was, but it was probably this similar thing with Jeff years ago. I just sat in, and then there you are. Kind of.
He's got huge ears. I mean, Jeff hears everything.
Yeah.
So if he
could probably hear us right now.
Maybe
right now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And the best compliment, he said, "Well, Jeff, I'm your dentist, so it's nice of you to let me up there." He goes, "Hey, listen, anybody can sit in with me once,
right?
But after that,
I mean, I'm not gonna. Whatever it's worth, I'm not gonna. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a drummer. But we've had this conversation. No one's doing you any favors.
No, but
you know that.
There's the top of I look at that gig that you do, and that's just wonderful stuff. That's just wonderful. I mean, you don't hear a lot of players playing. You hear a lot of great players everywhere, but you don't hear people playing that kind of music on that level that often.
I guess not.
So it's people are. When someone has that kind of gift, I mean, I just love being around it.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have more. It sounds like you have more than just one gift. I mean, so that's cool.
I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Listen, the best thing I could say about my music is that there are people that sound great out of the gate.
Yeah.
I'm more of a sort of late bloomer, I think.
Yeah, but I know. But as a teacher, there's no whatever.
Well,
I mean, you're not in
you
a hurry.
you see people that peak very early, and sometimes maybe they're not as great as they were later on.
Totally.
Whereas, I kind of built momentum. I started building momentum at about 55.
Oh, wow.
I'm 66 now.
Yeah.
So.
Do you feel, anyway, whatever. I remember I used to have, you know Vic. Do you remember? You know Vic Steffens?
I met him once.
Okay.
I met him once.
So when I was young and starting to play, like Vic was my drum teacher. He was my mentor. He still is, but like he was the guy. He was the main guy.
I didn't even know he was a drummer.
Oh yeah. And I remember because I just didn't have the work ethic because I was gifted, but I didn't know how to work. Like I had some things, and I remember him telling me that. He was just like, listen, I have other students who aren't as gifted as you, but work harder, and they're going to pass you out unless you figure out how to do both. Oh, okay. Because that it's the curse of, and I was going to ask, like what you think the ratio is, but that was my thing. Was this like, you can only get so I would have peaked early because I wouldn't have put that extra push in to really figure it out.
Sure.
Because you get lazy when you.
And I know you worked. I mean, I hear you're playing.
Well, yeah. I mean, because of that, because I thought, if you don't know any better, you think, well, I'm just fabulous. I don't have to do anything. And you're like, well, no, dog, because there are people that he would just tell me that don't have your ability, but they have a better work ethic than you do.
Right.
And they're good. I guess it's the tortoise.
But I think
and
where
the hare,
talent
right?
comes in the given equal amounts of work, the gift, the truly the 1%ers in the gift will peak at a noticeably higher level.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be.
It is what it is in life. Listen,
yeah. Sure.
I can run every day.
Sure.
Okay, but I'm
I know.
It's like athletics, or anything else. But in music, it's not only just the physical, but it's the spiritual. It's the hearing.
Right.
It's the creative spark. You can be. I mean, there's different kind of musicians. There are those that are mechanically brilliant that can sit there and read any chart, but maybe would put you to sleep if they had to make up stuff all night.
Sure.
And there are those that can't play the same way twice.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, the great thing about music is, there's room for everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the way that kind of works. Well, I mean, you were lucky. Like you say, you found a couple. You didn't find one thing. You found...
I've been incredibly lucky.
Amen.
I mean, I have gratitude every day I wake up for everything I have.
See what I'm saying?
And not only is work fun, but I'm blessed with the greatest staff I've ever had. I'm surrounded by the wonderful people.
Hey, that's cool. That's nice.
It makes it easy to work. It makes everything during the day. It's look, when you play in a band, and everybody's cool and they're friends. Yeah. And they're really great at what they do.
Yeah.
It makes showing up easy.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's kind of what it is where I'm working.
Well, then you win. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
It wasn't always like that, but it's like that.
Sure.
Now.
Well, I guess if you just keep being who you are, everybody will find each other.
Yeah, with luck.
What I mean? Yeah,
with luck.
With luck. We're getting close. Are there wrap-up questions? Anything that we did not talk about that you would like to talk about? In our, because we kind of, bounced around. I just want to make sure that you don't, like, on their way home go, oh man, I should have.
No, nothing. No, I mean,
pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
You're just going to keep it rolling, keep it going.
Keep it rolling. If anybody wants to check out Cafe 9.
Yeah.
Known as the Musician's Living Room in New Haven.
That's right.
Wonderful, wonderful place. Every Saturday afternoon there's a jazz jam. I host the third Saturday.
Cool.
Great thing to do.
Yeah,
and the only other thing is, if you think you might have sleep apnea, go to your doctor, get it checked out, easily treated.
Yeah.
Could save your life, could make you feel fantastic.
Do you think this is going to be a thing? Like you are on the front of the wave? Like
about 85 or 90% of the people who have it have never been diagnosed.
Yeah, right.
So it's getting a lot more attention.
Gotcha.
In the media now.
Gotcha.
And there's another type of something you've seen, something called Inspire on TV. They advertise it. Throw away your CPAP. There's a surgery they do where they implant a small device in your body, and what it does is every time you breathe in, your tongue goes out, and that opens your airway.
I got you.
And so because I've been on TV a lot, that is indirectly bringing a lot of awareness to sleep medicine.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just this easy to treat condition that so many people have.
Yeah.
And so few are diagnosed.
Wow. Yeah.
So then,
that's wild.
And it's a very simple test. You go to your physician, just say, please give me a sleep test.
Yeah. Yeah.
They send you home with a little box. You hook it up at night. You wake up.
Yeah.
You give them back the box. They tell you if you have it or not.
Yeah, I think I did that at one point. I felt like I was having problems. And I did take the test, and they said that I was within the realm of normal.
Good.
With small incidents. But I also, this is a good question. I'm just trying to think what was different. Back then, I quit smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't smoked. Is there a connection?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I don't feel that way. I would.
Are you tired during the day?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what's normal.
Do you ever wake up feeling unrefreshed?
Okay.
Or like if you sleep all night, do you still wake up? It's like, I don't feel like all that.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I don't.
Another tip-off can be anybody with hypertension.
Yeah.
And then if it takes a couple of different medications or it's not an easy, it doesn't respond right away.
Yeah.
Anybody with atrial fibrillation should go out and get a sleep test tomorrow. 70% association with sleep apnea.
Oh, okay. Okay.
People that grind their teeth, 26% of the people that grind their teeth have sleep apnea. Only 8% of the general population.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're right there. You're there. You're at the cutting edge of the awareness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I'm fortunate to be associated with people in the medical land
that helps.
that are unbelievably not just nice people but great clinicians.
Cool.
So yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Desert Island albums, a handful of albums that you could listen to only, that would define us, define you for us.
I can tell you there's one artist I listen to. I'll miss listening to him maybe 10 days a year, tops. Bill Evans.
Oh, wow.
Piano player.
Sure.
You ever listen to him?
Yeah. No, not extensively.
Paul Motion on drums.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, he had a trio, especially the first one of the first trios he had with Scott LaFaro on bass.
Okay.
It's just this brilliant musical conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Great album.
Okay.
Weather Report, Heavy Weather.
Sure.
Huge. Close to the Edge by Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Howe. The greatest compliment I ever got was that I was playing a guitar at a guitar show. And I'd had a couple of beers. It was a Martin archtop guitar.
Okay.
Now, Steve Howe, guitar player of Yes, is walking around the same show, and he's a god.
Yeah, sure.
Walking amongst men.
Sure.
And as he's walking around the guitar show, there's like a comet trail of other guitar players just following Steve around.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I was sitting there playing this Martin archtop, and he walks by, and having had a couple of beers in me, I stupidly just played the da 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 da. The end of it, he turns around to me and said, "Hey, Steve, how many blank versions of that have you had to hear over the last 20 years?" He comes by and goes, "Play something for me." And he stands in front of me. I'm sitting down. He stands in front of me looking down like this.
Yikes.
And so I play this Pat Metheny song I play. Somehow I didn't make too many mistakes.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Wow, that was really nice." He goes, "The way you spread your hand, you really remind me of my friend Martin Taylor, the way you grab those bass notes." I said, "If I ever make an album, that's going to be my liner note."
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's wild. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so Close to the Edge.
Yep.
First couple of Chicago records.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Sure. How wrong can you go?
Yeah, Derek and the Dominoes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep. For sure.
Kind of Blue.
Yeah, sure. Yep. All makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Couple new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such as?
I tell you, I mean, that new big band album by Dan Pugach has not left my turntable for a while.
There you go. Yeah. All right. We'll check
Bianca,
it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Desert Island food. I don't know why I find that interesting. I always ask.
My wife Darlene and I have often been on a quest for the ultimate sandwich.
Ultimate sandwich.
The ultimate sandwich. We've gone to New York for entire weekends with our little phones, just going from place to place. This place has the greatest sandwich. This place, go to the Bronx. Finally found what I thought was the greatest sandwich of what we found. It's a
you
little island off the coast. We went to Sicily.
Oh.
And a little off the coast of Syracuse called Ortigia.
Wow.
And they've got this place right at the end of the island to make sandwiches. So yeah, certainly a sandwich.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Wow. So what?
But short of that, I would say Arthur Avenue in the Bronx.
Okay.
That's where you find your best sandwich.
Okay. What? Sandwich? How? How do you describe?
You know, it depends on,
I mean, you know.
well, first of all, the bread has
Sure,
to be perfect.
Of course.
And my idea of great bread is thick crust.
Sure.
Very, very fluffy on the inside.
Okay. Yeah.
A great linguine and clams
Sure.
is a great meal.
Sure. What was it about this particular sandwich? What kind of sandwich? Describe the sandwich.
It was mozzarella.
Okay.
And fresh mozzarella.
Yeah, sure.
And they would line the sandwiches up. There was a line down the block.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had bacon on top of it, but the bacon was uncooked. And they came out with this butane blowtorch and
Now it's bacon.
flame in the plate.
Yeah,
the bacon.
Yeah.
And some other things on there. It was
So
just
good.
it was phenomenal.
Nice.
How about you? What's your desert island food?
Me?
Yeah.
Mexican anything, just about.
What kind of traditional Mexican? Tex-Mex?
I don't really
American Mex?
all of it. You know what I mean? I can't even honestly say that I always know the difference. I'm developing it, but I'll eat sloppy kind of style or Michoacan style that's just straight up. I'll go whatever.
What's your favorite Mex place around here?
Around here?
Or just in general, New Haven, greater New Haven area?
Well, I live up in Berlin, and we've been hitting up a place up on the Pike. Oh man, I can't remember. My wife and I go all the time. Plaza Azteca.
Okay.
It's cool. It's really cool. It's just right. It's perfect. And that's for just like sloppy rice and beans and cheesy and everything.
Everything's fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell.
And then, but in Wallingford, in my hometown, there's kind of hole in the wall. There's a Michoacan diaspora lurking in Wallingford.
Yeah.
So there's like the working dudes lunch place, this little spots in Wallingford.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can get brain taco.
Wow.
Tongue taco. You know what I mean? Like
or not.
Or not. Yeah, I don't either. But there's a place, Taqueria Mexico in Wallingford on Route 5, almost towards North Haven. It's just, whatever your meat is, an onion and cilantro, and that's it on a tortilla, and it's delicious. So it really depends.
And before we leave, what would a radio appearance be or podcast appearance be without a plug for upcoming gigs?
Yeah, well, hit it.
So we have on this Friday,
Hey.
Carla Zeppe and I. Do you know Carla?
No.
Carla's another. Oh my God! Carla's
well,
an
hook me up.
amazing singer.
Yeah.
She was the singer. Well, like we were saying, Ronnie Lawrence was the pickiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
That was the only woman singer Ronnie wanted to play with. And she
Oh.
sang. Ronnie used her as a woman singer, just about exclusively
Oh, cool.
until they passed. And so Carla and I have known each other and been fast dear friends.
Okay.
And she's a phenomenal singer. And Carla Zeppe and I are playing in a place called Petrillo's in Madison.
Okay.
This Friday.
This may be up before then. It may not be, but
Okay.
it might be. Likely.
Yeah, it's right on the border of Route 1 in Guilford. Excellent pizza. Try it out.
Okay.
On Friday, this Friday, Saturday, March 30th, from 5 to 8 p.m., we're at Valor Wines. Carla
Okay.
Zeppe and Tony D. On Wednesday, and the first Wednesday every month.
Oh, wow.
Carla and I have a residency at a wonderful restaurant on College Street in New Haven called South Bay Mediterranean Grill.
Oh, nice.
And it's just the two of us.
Hey.
Beautiful restaurant, playing just duo acoustic music.
Yeah.
Sometimes we put a little, loop guitar in there.
Yeah.
But it's basically just sort of pure acoustic music.
You're playing.
Of course,
a lot.
third Saturday of every month,
Right.
hosting Cafe 9. This month, we are with Dan Pugach and Dave Daddario, two phenomenal players.
Tell them about this show. Tell them to reach out. You know what I mean? Tell them about my show.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like we'll get some things going.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I will plug the show. I will plug the show at my gig, and I will plug my gig on your show.
Right. Well, hey, that's why we're here.
Hey, listen, it's how my office works, too. My patients all fill up the rooms.
Right.
At the rooms I'm playing, and they bring their friends, and their friends, hey, you're a dentist too? So
Yeah,
I'm
right,
a dentist too. Here's your card. So then my rooms
Hey,
fill
I have
up.
sleep
My
apnea.
rooms fill up the office.
Right.
Well, most people just go for the dentistry.
Right. But they stay for the sleep apnea.
They stay for the sleep apnea.
Oh! Come for the dentistry, stay for the sleep apnea. Tony D, right?
Tony D is fine.
Guitarist at large, sleep apnea expert, or what do you call it? Sleep medicine.
Dental sleep medicine.
Sleep medicine.
The treatment of obstructive sleep apnea, an alternative to CPAP.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Because who needs that? We don't need that anymore.
Well, it's good if you can wear it.
Sure, exactly. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
I hit you up the other night. I was like, let's do this.
Oh, absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming up. Thank you. Hey, stay tuned, kids. You'll hear how you can have your very own podcast here in our beautiful studio. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music Dance. Go over the bridge, go through one set of light, turn left, or whatever. I don't even care anymore. It doesn't matter. We're already over time. All right. Thanks a lot, kids. Drive safe. Be careful. I'm going to do the theme one more time. There we go. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music Dance. And thank you, Tony D, for coming. Appreciate it. John. Yeah. And have some of those other people that you mentioned come by. We'll get something going. All right. Thanks a lot. See you later. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.